Good morning, everyone. It's Linny from Stampin with Linny. I'm just going to double check that all the technology is working, so bear with me for a minute. Yep, seems to be working fine. If you're here, give me a thumbs up and a hello, so I know that that you're here. If you're watching on replay, either on Facebook or I will upload this to YouTube as well. Thanks for watching on replay as well. So this is my first class by mail video, and I will explain a bit more about that at the end of the video, but basically I'll be making a couple of cards and then you can choose to purchase the class kit from me, and there's a pricing structure for that depending on whether you want to order the products that I'm using or not. So I will give you all the details of that at the end of the video. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you're all staying dry and warm and safe where you are. We've got a bit of a gloomy, drizzly day here today, but we certainly, where I live, we certainly haven't had anywhere near the rain that the coastal areas have had. So I hope you are all safe. So I'm just going to flip the camera around and we'll get going. So bear with me for a second while I do this. Okay. Just post a comment if something's wrong with the picture or the angle. I will just tweak that a little bit. That's a bit better. Okay, that looks all right on my screen, so hopefully it is on yours too. Excuse me for a second. Okay, just going to move that slightly that way. That's a little bit better. Make that a bit more centered. Okay, so today's class by mail, we're going to be focusing on this set of stamps and matching dies. I'll show you the dies in a minute. The stamp set is called Waves of Inspiration. You can see that lovely big wave image there and the gorgeous little pelican. So we're going to be using those ones today as well as the sentiments. And yeah, so if you choose to place an order of the stamp and die set that I am using, you'll actually get your class kit basically for free. It's $5, which really just covers my postage. And if you're anywhere in Australia, you can purchase the class kit for that. And if you don't want to purchase these products, that's fine. It will just be different pricing for you, but you can let me know if you're interested. If you want to purchase the class kit, you can let me know and I will send you all the cost and payment details. So, but before we start with that, don't forget it is almost new catalogue time. So the new annual catalogue, which is our big one, starts on the 3rd of May and runs through until the end of April next year. So this is our main catalogue. I can't show you the inside of it yet because it isn't available to order from yet. Once it is, I'll be able to show the inside of it, but you can actually ask me for a copy of the catalogue, and I will post you one as soon as I get my box of catalogues, which will be coming shortly, but you'll have it around about the start date. If you my automatic mailing list is already closed, so if you're on that, you'll actually get it before the start date, which is always a nice advantage. But if not, and you just request one, you'll get one probably just after it starts, but that's no problem at all. So this set here is in the new catalogue, and so yeah, you'll be able to see it when you get your catalogue. Alrighty, so to start with, I will let you know that the products I'm going to be using, as well as the stamps and dies. Now, the stamps and dies are the only products you need to purchase to get my class for free. But there are some other products that coordinate that are available now but won't be in the new catalogue. I'm very, very sad to say. It's just a special release, exciting thing. So I am going to be using these gorgeous papers. So I'll just give you a quick flip through those. I think I may have actually done a video with these beautiful papers. So I'll just do a quick flip through that so you can see some of the beautiful designs that we're going to be working with today. Beautiful. It's the technique they've used, the painting technique they've used, the artists to create this is called acrylic pour. So you might be familiar with that technique. So we're going to be using those. And also in the kit, in the products that are available now, also available is these gorgeous sheets of foil. So you've got a gorgeous green, a blue, deep blue, and a silver. And you get 2 sheets of each of those colours, and we're going to be using those today too. So all in all, lots of yummy things to be using today. All right, so let's get started. Here's our first card. So I really wanted to showcase some of the beautiful Designer Series paper, but also these beautiful wave dies that come in the bundle if you purchase the stamp set as a bundle. And I will show you those. I'll show you all the dies. So here's the beautiful wave ones. You actually get 2 different style wave dies, which is great. And if you can see on the card here, I've actually layered them together, one in the dark blue foil and one in the white. So it just gives it a lovely extra dimension. So that's those 2. You get the cute little pelican die. Cut him out. Very handy. You get 2 greeting dies, which cut out all the greetings, cover all the greetings that are in the, except this one. So you get the dies to cut out those 3 greetings, which is great. And you get these really gorgeous cloud dies. There's one of my hairs there. Cloud dies, which actually layer on top of each other to give your clouds a bit of dimension too. And you get some bird dies. So that's fun too. So I'll just pop those all over here. Okay. So to start with, you can see that with this card, I've layered some of the dark blue foil behind here, as well as used it on the dies. I've done some ink splattering in the background, so I'll talk about that a bit later. And I've coloured the pelican in with our Stampin' blends, and I'll show you how I did that as well. Alrighty, let's get started. So if you have a Stamparatus tool, I have actually stamped the large wave stamp on the Designer Series paper first. And I used my Stamparatus tool because I actually want to layer a couple of different colours on there. And so with the Stamparatus tool, you can line it up perfectly, and you know, you can just keep re-inking and re-stamping, and your paper won't move. So you can see I've already lined it up. I've placed my Designer Series paper down, and then all I did was lay the stamp down on the paper where I wanted it to stamp, and then you just close the lid and pick up the stamp, and so you know it's going to be the same every time. Okay, so I always put a stamp set down underneath where I open the lid. It just means that when you're inking your stamp, it's flatter. If you don't have any, it's not impossible to do, but it just makes it a little bit more sturdy. You've got something to push down against there. So to start with, I'm going to stamp the whole wave in Bermuda Bay. Whenever you're doing different layers of colours, just make sure you start with the lightest colour. Okay. All right. And I'll stamp him. Give it a good press. Give it a few seconds to really soak into that paper, because the Designer Series, Stampin' Up! Designer Series paper is really nice and thick. So it's great quality, and because of that, it's good to give the stamp just some extra time to soak in. Okay, now I want to do that again. So I'll just put a little bit more ink on that, because it's a very similar colour to the, well, it's just one of the same colours used in the Designer Series paper, I think. You'll find that it will blend in, but my purpose is not to have the stamp as the focus. As you can tell from my card, you probably didn't even realise that it was stamped underneath. It really just adds some extra dimension to it. So that's all I wanted to do. So we'll re-ink that colour up, and I think that'll probably do for that colour. Okay, that's lovely. And so now I'm going to go to a slightly darker, a more blue colour, Pacific Point. And I'm going to get a sponge dauber this time. And I'm just going to add some dark details to where I think I would like some darker. You can actually see in the wave where there's more concentration of colour already is where I think would be darker parts of the wave. So on this stamp, and you see it in the screen there, it would be up around here. All right, and a little bit down in those spots as well. And just for some interest, I might add some down there as well. Now you'll find you'll probably have to do this 2 or 3 times with the sponge dauber. So let's have a look at that. Pop on and say hi. Let me know what your weather's like where you are. Tell me where you are, and tell me what kind of weather you've got. Okay, now I can see that extra colour detail there. I'm not sure if it's coming out in the video, but I will just zoom in a little bit and see if you can see that. Can you see that where it's just got the extra dark bits there? So we'll do that again. I'll leave it zoomed in just while we're doing these bits, so you can see the colour build. It's a really fun, I love adding different layers of colour and just seeing the image change. So let's see how that goes. I'm a bit off screen when I'm re-inking that up, but I'm just doing the same thing that you've already seen me do. Okay, so look, I'm pretty happy with that. I might just maybe add, yeah, I might just go a little bit further up into here, I think. Little bit up there. But I think that's probably all I will do. Might as well just re-ink that curly bit up again while I'm there. Yeah, nice. I'm happy with that. So it's really just a subtle difference, but it's really fun to do, and why not? So I'm going to just zoom that out again so that we're completely in screen there. And I will take him off. If you don't have a Stamparatus, any other stamping lining up tool will work. And if you don't have any of those, then you can just stamp it in one colour. Sometimes stamping in one colour and then re-stamping in the whole stamp in another colour will give you a nice effect as well. So you can always do that. I just want to grab some more scrap paper. Just excuse me for a second while I do that. There we go. All right. So now I will show you the wave die cuts. Now, to die cut these kinds of dies that have got lots of detail in them, you really want to use adhesive sheets on the back of your cardstock or foil or whatever you're using. So I'm going to be cutting these in both cardstock and foil. So if you've never used adhesive sheets, what you need to know, particularly with foil, because it's only one-sided, obviously you're going to put the adhesive on the back of your foil. So that one's a bit of a no-brainer. And then you put your die cut, as I did, on top of the foil and run it through like that, okay? And for the cardstock, here's where I used to get tripped up. You can obviously put your adhesive sheet on either side, but then when you're die cutting it, you want to make sure that, just say the adhesive sheet is already on there, you want to make sure you put your die cut on top of the cardstock and run it through like that, okay? You don't want to be cutting it out like that. You'll end up with adhesive on the wrong side, okay? So that is the way that you run it through with adhesive sheets. So I have already done that. And just for ease of the length of the video, I have, and the great thing is I used my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, because these wave dies fit beautifully through that. So I didn't have to get my big one out. And I can keep this, you know, either on my desk or very close to my desk, and that's a very handy size. All right, so when you're cutting out your waves, just decide how you want to layer them, so you know which dies to use with which coloured pieces. Now on this card I used the dark blue die. The green one doesn't stand out quite as much, but I'm just, for the sake of something different, I'm going to use that one today. And what I've also done is I've cut my design series paper to be the full length, the full width of my card today, just so that you can see something a bit different. Alrighty, so we just need to take the adhesive off. I often find with these detail dies that it's easier to start rather than from the edges. I find it easier to start in the middle somewhere. So just to find, for some reason I can find the edge better. Okay, and mine's coming off in pieces, I think, because I didn't have my adhesive on all in one strip. There's a little bit left at the bottom there. You'll be able to see, there's a bit left on there too. Just tiny bits. Okay. So that is my green one. We'll get him lined up. So I want him to go right up against the edge there and right along the bottom. Okay. Like so. And then we'll get the white one. Oh, I love that green. It's a real Coastal Cabana kind of green, if you're wondering. It probably is what the colour foil is. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what it looks like to me. And foil just makes any card look gorgeous, doesn't it? So it's good to have some kind of pointy tool for these kinds of jobs. I'm using the, this is called Take Your Pick, this tool, because it's got lots of different, it's got a sticky end, and this thing comes out, and it's also got a spatula end, and there's also comes with another insert to replace this that's got a scoring tool on it. So it's a very, very handy tool to have. I use it for all my bling and everything. Okay, so obviously you just need to be a bit gentle with these detailed dies. Take your time, get your fingers stuck. Okay, hello Mrs. Leone, lovely to see you, darling. Thanks for popping in and saying hi. Okay, hope you're having a great day in Kiama, but I'm sure you're pretty over the rain by now. Hope you haven't had any water troubles at your house, Leonie. Gosh, I'm slip sliding everywhere today. All right, so that is our waves layered. So you can see how different that looks. And now I think I'll still use the dark blue foil as a layer. Strip either side of that, so I'll put those on now, just a couple of strips of that, and I'll just add some multi-purpose glue to that, which I didn't get out. There we go. Okay. So just be careful with your multi-purpose glue, not to go too close to the edge, but at least it gives you some great wiggle room there. And I've deliberately cut my foil a bit longer because I'm going to be trimming that down. just gives me, if you try and cut them precisely the same size, you know what happens. It's doesn't work out the right size. All right, you will notice that the foil will stay pretty slippery for a while. If that bothers you, you can always use tear and tape or your snail type adhesive. But liquid glue is my go-to, so that is fine by me. Okay, see how that looks. Make sure that's, give that a bit of a slip slide around. And that looks pretty good to me. So I won't cut that off just yet. I'll make sure that glue is completely secure before I cut that off. Alrighty, so I'm actually going to just set that aside while that glue's drying. And we're going to do our gorgeous little pelican. He is so cute. I just can hardly believe how cute he is. All right. So I'm going to stamp him in smoky slate because I want the pelican to look as natural as possible. I don't want a coloured pelican. So I'm going to, and you can use your, sorry, that's not really in shot, is it? You can use your Stampin' blends with normal Stampin' Up ink pads. The thing you do have to be careful about is if you're stamping in black when you intend to colour with your Stampin' blends, because the different you need to use memento black ink when you're using your stamping blends. Okay, you don't use Stays On because it will smudge and blur with the alcohol ink. You must use memento, but your Stampin' Up ink pads are fine. Now, all right, that's all good. Now, for the pelican, you might think I'm a bit mad, but I'm actually using a Whisper White watercolour pencil, and I'm going to colour in my pelican. Now, I will zoom in on this when I'm done, but you would be surprised because, I mean, there's all different shades of white, and you will be really surprised at how there is a difference between your white cardstock and the white watercolour pencil. Now, I'm not going to watercolour it. I'm just using it dry. So any kind of white pencil would do, but I find the watercolour pencils go on smoother, and I just keep layering that white on, because the more I put on it turns into a real creamy white. As I say, you might not be able to see that just yet, and I am going to give his beak a little bit of white, but then I am going to add a little bit of colour on top of that. I just don't want the colour to be too bright. Okay, so that's him done, and I'm going to add that little bit of, this one is Calypso Coral. Just gives his beak a nice little blush, and I'm also going to put a little bit on his cute little pink feet, which pelicans have. All right, so that's basically our pelican done. Now for our posts, I'm using a range of colours for our posts. First of all, I've got light and dark crumb cake. So I'm going to start with the light and just start layering that colour up. Now, the good thing about these posts, I don't want to hear anyone saying, oh, I'm no good with blending or anything like that, because the good thing about these posts is the stamp actually has lines in it, which gives you the dimension. I'm just going to zoom in on that so you can see that a little bit easier. You can see that detail in the post there. So you really don't need to be a good colour innerer, because the stamp does the shading work for you. Now I just want to, there's some rope detail there that I just want to be careful around, but apart from that, that's all there is to it for the base colour. Now I am going to switch over to the pointy end. When I have finer detail areas like that, I find the pointy end much easier, and I'm just dotting that on because it's an alcohol marker. The colour sort of bleeds into itself. Okay, so that's the first layer. I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to come in with the dark, and I am going to use the pointy end for some of this as well. So I'm going to go firstly along the edges, and I'm basically going to follow where it's already got the dark areas there. Okay, I'm also going to come across the top. Now you might be saying, oh, those lines look harsh, and yes they do. And then I'm even going to do this. Okay, now I've actually already got one prepared, so I'm not going to do the whole of the big one, but I then will just want to show you how all I'm doing is coming over with the light one again, like so. And if you want, you can add a little bit more dark. And that's it. Now the rope I did use dark smoky slate on the rope. It's very thin, so I was just really careful how I did that. Okay, and then we end up with after we've die cut him out, we end up with him. So you can see that detail in the posts, but I want you to also notice the pelican. I'm just grabbing some white cardstock, and I want you to see how he's a real creamy white. Can you see that against the white cardstock? It just makes him pop a little bit, I think. So I'm really happy with him. And I have also stamped the You're Totally Awesome greeting. I'm just going to zoom out there because we don't need, if I can, well, it's not letting me zoom out properly. Just bear with me for a second. I'm sure that's still a bit zoomed in. Ah, still got you with me? Yeah, I think that might be. I think that might be as far out as I can go. Okay. So now we're going to layer everything together. I will first of all trim off my little bits of foil there. Okay, and we'll bring in our card base. Now before I layer that on, I want to do some splattering, and for that I used a another Stampin' Blends marker. This one is Dark Bermuda Bay, and what I did, grab something, this is a tapping splattering method, so whatever you're going to use, make sure you don't care that it gets some ink splattered on it, and you use the brush tip end. And I don't need it all over, I just want it top and bottom, so it looks like the wave is spraying a little bit. So make sure you are not you haven't got your work anywhere near where you're splattering. Okay, and it's just as simple as that. Okay, you might want to practice. Sometimes you'll get a big splodge. And that'll do. It's quick and as simple as that. It's a great way of just adding another nice bit of interest to your card. So we're going to glue that on. And I want that in the middle, going right across the middle, so I'm just eyeballing that. Okay. And I will put some Stampin' Dimensionals on my cute little pelican. Okay, I might use a combination of big ones and little ones. Okay, don't throw away the bones of your Stampin' Dimensionals, because they'll come in very handy. Okay, I'll put a big one there, but then I think I'll switch to a little one. Little one there, and I even want just a tiny bit up near his head, I think. I'm a bit of a Stampin' Dimensional what do you call it? Well, I like to use plenty. Nothing worse than making a beautiful card and then having the dimensional pieces sort of collapse down on you, particularly if you're sending it in the mail. All right, so I want him to cover up that edge there, so I'm going to put him about there, and I want some of him sticking down below that, and then I'm also going to pop up the greeting, but I'm going to slide him sort of in there somewhere. Okay. Okay, that is plenty. Gives him nice support in the middle as well as both ends. As you can see, I reused I'd used that piece for something else, but and I'm just going to about there, I think. Now I actually stamped that greeting, I think, in Night of Navy, whereas this one I stamped in Pacific Point. I think I prefer the Pacific Point colour for that. But and I used an old stitched die for that one, just so you can see the different looks. And now it's just for a bit of bling. So the other thing that comes in this lovely collection with the papers and everything is these beautiful rhinestones that come in different shades of blue and green. So we're going to use those, and this is another product that won't be available in the new catalogue. So this and the papers and the foils are only available until the new catalogue comes out. So you've got until the 2nd of May, but if any of them sell out before then that's it. So this time I think I'm going to use the dark blue ones. And I think I'll use 3. So I'll have a little one, I think, over here, and a big one and a little one up here, I think. If you've followed my card making before, you'll know about the rule of odds. If you are into any kind of designing, whether it's interior or card making or whatever it is, you'll know the rule of odds is much more aesthetically pleasing, as is the pattern of putting them in a triangular, placing them in it so they form a triangular pattern. So that's what I've done there, and that's it. What do you think of that one? Here's the 2. I like them both. I think this one, the wave, obviously stands out a bit more, but I do like them both. So that's those 2. We will move on to the next. The next one I think is my favourite because it showcases nearly all of these beautiful designer series papers. Thank you, Leonie. I'm glad you like it. So for this one, I've actually torn all the edges of these paper strips and glued them down individually. So this card really leaves a lot of room for you to, have it look the way you want it to look. You can use more greens, more blues. I wanted to keep it sort of more on the paler side and just have a little bit of the dark blue showing through occasionally. But with so many gorgeous papers to choose from, you can obviously please yourself. So, and you can see I've got our lovely pelican again. So I won't be colouring him again because I've already shown you how to do that. And I've got a layer of vellum here, which I've die cut with the layering circles, one of the layering circles dies. I'll show you that in a minute. And I have cut 2 wave shapes for this one and laid them on top of each other. I've done them both in white. The only reason I cut 2 was because I stuck the first one down and to me it just didn't have enough detail, so I stuck the other one over the top. But I'm only going to be using 1 layer today. And then I've used the other sentiment and I've added some, this is baker's twine, and I'll show you that when we get to it. All right, so I have already started the layering process. Now, some of my pieces may be a little bit wider than the paper, but that's okay because as we know, we can trim them off, so that's no problem. So let's get to, now I have already put my papers in the order that I want to put them down. I just haven't torn them yet. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, did you know that when you tear paper, you will get a different look depending on how you tear it? So if you tear it towards you, like I just did, you will get a white, you'll see the white of the core of the paper, which I wanted, okay? If, however, you tear it away from yourself, you won't see that white edge. So it's entirely up to you. I want to see the white edge, so that's what I am doing. You may find it easier to layer these up from the bottom because you've only got to put them on top like that. Don't ask me why, but for some reason I want to go from the top down, and I don't know why. So if, like me, you're going from the top down, it is important that you don't stick these little bits down flat, okay? Because you need something to slide under there. Alrighty, so obviously tearing does not need to be precise. That's the point of tearing, isn't it? And afterwards, if you want to go through and glue some of those edges down, if you think any of them are sticking up a bit too much, you can do that. Now that has, no, I didn't put glue on that edge. No, it's not stuck down. It just feels like it is a little bit actually. So, and again, you can make your card look as like as far as the edges go, you can have as much sticking out as you like. Okay, so I've gone a little bit wider with the yellow edge there, and obviously the number of papers that you use is also very individual. So I will probably be using less papers this time because I'm leaving wider gaps than I did on my original. But it's tearings, I find it quite quite therapeutic. So I hope that you have fun doing it too. Now this one you can, alternate how thick your layers are. So this one is a bit thinner. If you order the class kits for these cards, my class by mail, then you will get a PDF with all the dimensions of pieces that I've cut. So you get a bit more detail than you do in the video. Okay, looking good. So now another bit of yellow. Oh, seems such a shame to cover up the reverse of these papers, which is always the dilemma we have with any designer series paper that we love. But it's really a fun process to do this, so I hope you enjoy it as well. This is a gorgeous one with the greens and blues on it. I love this one. That's one of my favourites. So I think I'll make him a bit wider. Show show him off. And I like to leave the top and bottom strip a bit wider too, so I think this will be my last one. So that'll make 10 strips for me. I used 11 on my original, I think, because I had the narrower. I put them a bit narrower, closer together. I need to poke him out a bit more because so I don't leave any white showing. There we go. Any underneath cardstock showing. There we go. That's better. That's that one. I'll flip him over and chop them off at the back. Make sure they're all nice and even. And now I'm going to do something that you might think, what on earth is the point of that? And to be honest, I can't even explain what the point of it is. But I have, the cardstock I've used to glue this to is actually thick Whisper White. And my reasons for that is because you're actually ending up with quite a fair bit of glue by the time you stick them all down. So I wanted it to be sturdy, but I really wanted it to be even thicker again. I want it to be almost like its own piece of artwork. So I am going to stick another piece of thick Whisper White to the back of that, just to make sure that it's a really sturdy piece. And you can really tell once you've done it. Now, I don't know if you can tell in the camera there, but when you look side on, it's a really nice, thick piece to put on your card front. All right, now I won't worry about going and gluing down my edges now, but if it wasn't for time, I probably would go through and just stick a few of those corners down. But for the sake of the class, I won't worry about doing that. I'll just get rid of some of these scraps that I've just cut off. So before we stick that to our card front, I will get my vellum layer, which I have cut out. So if you've never used vellum before, it comes in A4 sheets, the same as cardstock does, and it's quite thick, and as you can see, it's see-through, but it's a really good sturdy weight. You can get other vellums that are very thin, so if you're shopping for vellum, please make sure you get the thick one. You will get a much better result when you use it. And the die that I used, oh, excuse me for a minute, I used the layering circles dies to cut that one out. I'm pretty sure that's the one. Yep. And it was that one that I used. I can't tell you what size it is other than it's that one. Okay. And again, fits through the mini machine, so excellent for that reason too. So now I'm going to stick I've cut my wave die out. Now this time, instead of white, I've used, I want to say Pool Party. I'm pretty sure this is Pool Party. And I've used the adhesive sheet again, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that off. close to finishing. So I'll just chat a bit about the class by mail again. So you have two options if you missed the start of the video. You can choose to just purchase the kit with all the materials. Now, whenever we do kits for classes, we are not allowed to include stamped images. So that is a legal thing that Stampin' Up! Have, a legal requirement. So I can't include any stamped images. So you will either use your own stamped images. So that means you won't get the penguin, you won't get the wave, the pelican. But you can choose to purchase the product and make that yourself. But you will get die cuts. So I can die cut the wave for you and give you that. I just can't stamp it. Wait a minute. I want to leave a little bit of room on this right side. So I'm going to go about there. I just want some space over here, so that when I put my pelican on, he doesn't take up too much of my wave, cover too much of my wave. So then I'm just going to just roughly trim off the excesses of that wave. Easy to do. And obviously that adhesive sheet on the back has worked a treat. So very happy about that. Just bear with me for a second. I'm just checking. There we go. That's better. All right, so now when you're gluing vellum down, you need to realise that glue will actually show through. So what I usually use is glue dots, and I place them so that they are underneath. I place them underneath where the images already are. So I'm going to do that now. And just put them in a few random spots. If you find that you've got something in vellum to stick down that doesn't have, there's no spots to hide your glue dots, you just place them around the edges. They're not that noticeable when they're around the edges, really. But having a either a stamped image or something stuck to the top of it is handy. All right, so we're going to bring in our card base, and I want that to be not halfway. I want that to be a little bit towards the top. About there. That looks nice, I think. And then we're going to glue our pelican down, which, like I said, I've already coloured and stamped and coloured him. So where are my dimensionals? Use them again. Okay. Oh, I've just got my little ones here, so I'm just going to use all little ones. That'll do. Just offset them all a little bit. Make sure I get good coverage. Who else have we got here today? Anyone else watching today? pop on and say hi. Even if you are watching it on if you're watching it on replay, still pop a comment on and say hi, because I'll always see it and I will say hi back. Okay, I'll just get his back bits off. I love my Stampin' Dimensionals. I love dimension on card. It's very, very rare. I can't remember the last time I did a card without any dimension. I think it just really makes a card. Okay. I want him hanging down a fair bit, so I'm going to put him about there. I think that looks nice. And we're having happy birthday this time. And I've stamped that in Pacific Point on this die cut. But before I stick him down, I'm actually going to tie some baker's twine to him. So this comes out of the pack of baker's twine that you can get with all those different colours in it. And yeah, pretty sure this one is grey granite. I'm going to be using that one. Crumb cake, very vanilla, a white obviously with basic white and basic black. So I'm just going to cut a couple of lengths of that. You could use linen thread if you don't have any baker's twine. I just liked the baker's twine is just slightly thicker than the linen thread, so I liked that. That made it look more like a ropey kind of arrangement. And I'm just going to tie a simple knot at the end there and try and get the knot as close to, if I can manage that. And just try and tie it down as close to that end as possible, and I've done that a bit. There we go. There we go. Happy with that. Oops. Actually, one of those hasn't pulled through properly. There we go. Okay, it's a little bit further away from the end, but that doesn't matter. Whatever. And then we'll just trim those. Oh, drats. We'll just trim those off as needed. So, okay, I was talking about the class kits. If you decide that you want to purchase a class kit from me, as I say, anywhere in Australia can do that. You need to send me a message with which option you want, whether you're going to place an order for the products or whether you just want me to send you the kit on its own without you placing an order. And you'll need to send me your postal address and your email address, and I will send you payment details for that. And then once I have payment, I will post your kit for you. So that is that. All right, I've got the mini ones handy, so I might use them again. Going to be using a few more. Now on this end, I actually want that end to sit on top of that, so I don't want any dimensionals passed about there. Okay, so that's probably enough. So what do we think, girls, ladies, gents, whoever's watching? Do we like the papers? Round about, do I want it in the centre? Yeah, I might actually make it closer to the centre. Him. There we go. Might trim that one off a little bit more, and then all we've got to do is stick it to our card base. Easy peasy. This one's going to be a portrait card, and then we'll put some bling on, I think. I want this to have a good amount of glue, being so thick. We want to make sure that it stays put. Okay, and I have cut it so that there will be a nice little border around there. As I say, if you get the kit, you'll have a PDF in your email. You'll also get a PDF in your email with all the measurements. And okay, we want some more bling. Let's have a look. Oh, I'm very fond of the dark blue ones, but seeing as we've got the nice pale Pool Party there, I might just use one of these lovely sort of a coastal cabana-y. Where am I going to put them this time? Yeah, I think so. One there. I think I might do one there. And there's another smaller one up here, I think. Lovely. Beautiful. So what's the verdict? There's the two different ones with the white waves and the Pool Party waves. I like them both. I can't really decide. So I hope you enjoyed that. Sorry, I just bumped the camera there. And if you order the kit, I hope you have fun, as much fun making this as I did. And I did get the idea for this card from another demonstrator. It's a slightly different version of what she did, so I will add her name to the description. And that is that. So take care, everybody. Stay warm, stay dry. And as I say, let me know if you would like to order the class kit. Okay, thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.